Right, here we go. Brawl Cup has started yesterday. I wasn't actually there for most of it, so I'm reviewing this after the entire tournament was basically played. But what a game we had with Relum versus Zeta. Incredible fixture there. I think it's fair to say that neither of these teams were exceptional. Zeta were very lucky to win that match in my opinion, and Relum were really dominant in the sets they did win, but they just bottled the final two drafts, and even Zeta made an absurd number of mistakes throughout the match. And now it's created this debate of whether Zeta are back in their winning ways or if Relum are becoming their own worst enemies. So let's start out in Hideout. Relum go with the Mortars, an excellent aggressive brawler. Zeta respond with a Bell for the long range matchup and Jae Young for support. Relum go with Gus as a support and long range brawler, using the shield to help the Mortars dash in but survive, and Crow for being just a great overall brawler. Zeta then pick up the RT, rounding up both comps, and Zeta start with the mid possession and dominance. Eventually they are pushing Relum back into their own spawn and just toying with them. Now, although Mortis is a great pick as a space maker in Bobby's words, I think there is a 2 to 3 overload on the range damage in Zeta's favour, and the Crow doesn't have enough damage, so Zeta can swoop in and claim the kills, and when defending their lead from the Mortis, a simple RT Hyper and Jae Young can take him out, which ends game 1. Game 2, Relum get the blue star through Mortis, which is a good advantage if you can hold on to that lead, but since Mortis lacks any range, he cannot defend himself or his team when they are far away, and so Zeta get 2 takedowns very easily very early on, and they maintain their dominance to win the first set. Diving into the drafts a little bit, it wasn't too bad, but Zeta just didn't buy into Relum's bait. They decided to keep as far away as possible from the Mortars at all times, and were just very slowly pushing into the map to camp them in their spawn, preventing any disaster striking if they got too close. Relum however made the Mortars kind of redundant and just lost so much control over the entire map. The Crow was getting some hits, but nothing was substantial to help them push out of their spawn, and the Gus was doing most of the damage, as you can see from the stats. Overall, the plan from Relum wasn't that poor, but it just rather got exploited and counter drafted by Zeta using their only weakness, long range brawlers. Furthermore, the brawlers Zeta picked up can deal damage far and close with the RT legs, for example, and in the hands of the most mechanically gifted players in the world, it was really hard for Relum to make a comeback. Deathcap Trap, Gem Grab, Match 2. Zeta first picked Chester, which I think is a really good anti-tank here, and he just has some insane utility with his super and hypercharge. Relum respond with a Stew for a little aggression down the lane, but also some control, along with the Ruffs to support, being one of the best support brawlers in the game. Zeta then pick up a Mortis as their aggressive brawler and a Penny to add some control, and Relum final respond with a Trunk. With a lot of health and ability to charge at opponents, Relum had a slightly better draft and just more balance to compete in this match. After a weird but successful charge by Bobby on this left lane in the opening moments of this match, Relum found an early advantage through the Stew collecting the gems in the middle, but a lack of coordination between the Trunk and his teammates made the next few attempts futile. A lane swap however helps Relum gain more possession of the mid, and the Trunk be more aggressive and dies less on the right lane, and Ruffs is helping to shut down the Mortars while opening up the map. A successful takedown from Bobby, somehow, like I don't even know how it happened, lets Patchy pick up the gems and carry Relum to a buzzer beater. Game 2, and while Zeta woke up from their slumber, Suzuki on the Mortars became a living nightmare for Relum in the backlines. Chitampos, turret and shots were making it really difficult for Relum to gain any mid control, and Batterman on the Chester was just being a broken tank counter. Relum had 2 or 3 chances where they reset the countdown, but these were all solo attempts, and a lack of time and cohesion resulted in Zeta winning the game. In the final game for an important set win, this time Zeta were lacking the teamwork and cohesion. The distracting Mortars only troubled the Trunk, enabling the Stew to collect a lot of the gems and the Ruffs to break open the map. When Zeta gained mid control, it was a back and forth battle, but a series of mistakes in the game sense from Zeta meant they were stumbling like dominoes until the last member standing was Stew. The drafts had their balance, and although the Mortars did his job effectively, it felt as though the Chester and Penny were not pulling their weight. The Chester was not on the same lane as the Trunk for most of the game, which is his best counter, and the Penny was just dying too frequently. Meanwhile, Relum had Stew as mid control with the help of his speed gadget and super for additional mobility, and Ruff's opening up the map made it really hard for the Mortis, but also providing buffs to his teammates that they heavily relied on. Relum win the second set and gain some momentum going into set 3. Goldarm Gulch for the third set. Piers is selected by Relum, Ginanati for Zeta, looking at a controlling strategy, Ruffs and Colt for Relum again, emphasizing an open map and high damage draft, and Zeta final pick the Brock for some wall breaks, damage, but also a way to handle gene pools. Damage versus control strategy, it seems. Interesting draft nevertheless, and a very close match to watch. However, Patchy dies almost immediately, so we skip this round obviously. Relum bounced back with a really good combination on the RT, which helps take down Zeta, and in the final round Relum are somehow pinned to their spawn, but through some hypercharges they are able to escape, but not without some members falling. Sands on 8 health is taken down, and after Pierce, Zeta claimed their first match. Zeta break open the map a little in match 2 to help out the Gene attack, but are swamped by a 3-point attack by Relum and they fall. The isolation of Sands and then Patchy on this lower wall makes some easy pickings for Zeta to tie the match 1-1, but Sands redeems himself with an early kill on the Brock, and with the map exposed and Zeta in the spawn, Relum are able to tie this game 1-1. Match 3 starts in a deadlock, but trades form as the smoke creeps in and utility is used. Relum gets some really nice shots on Zeta and comfortably claim the first round. Shatampa on the Brock breaking open these bushes is a really good way to find when the other team are pushing high on these lanes and prevent them from getting sneak attacks behind you. The gene pool on the Bobby gets an advantage, but Colt immediately gets revenge and it's 2-on-2. However, a mistake by Sands by not retreating back to his spawn results in only Relum's demise, and with 1 round left it was all to come down to the wire. And in one massive blunder by Zeta, clumping together on this left lane and not out range of Sands, the Colt beams them down in an incredible double takedown. And with that, Relum are now 2-1 in this intense match. Overall, drafts felt not exactly usual, felt a little better for Zeta, but given these are kind of comfort picks for Relum, they were always going to be dominant when the action was a little close. Good, intense and exciting match to watch, and Relum really were building momentum now. And they only needed 2 more consecutive sets in order to guarantee their first place seeding. And so I was really hoping and I really thought Relum would win this. But my goodness, they threw the next 2 drafts out the window. Jeez. I guess Bobby just did not pay attention to his drafting video. Set 4, Sneaky Fields. Relum go with Sandy, which is a good brawler for defending and mid control, but I wouldn't say it's the best first pick, as now Zeta pick up the Chester and Mo, a deadly anti-tank and aggressive combo. Relum have to respond with an Otis and Trunk, and Zeta go with Rico. The Trunk is everything for Relum, and if he cannot help his team push up, then Zeta will dominate this game. Zeta get an immediate team wipe twice and score. The utility from Relum does help them level the scoreline, but the hypercharge from Zeta is too powerful and Zeta take the game lead. The Sandy and Otis are really struggling to claim any control in the second game, and with Bobby being hard countered, Zeta score again. An absolute blunder by Bobby and masterclass defending by Suzuki prevents what should have been a defiant goal, a definite goal. Maybe it was an ammo issue, but that should have been a goal for Relum there. Instead, the ball is cornered and Relum just can't even get anywhere close to the ball or even in Zeta's half. This was a bit of a humiliation for only Relum. Nothing much to be said here other than well played by Zeta. And on to the final lifeline for Relum, open business. Zeta pick up a Lumi, a really strong control brawler, and Relum respond with a Finks and Stu. Zeta take an incredible Mina and Kenji, and Relum final pick a Shade. Now, Relum really ignored the aggressive Mina and tank of Kenji and went for some control plus a Shade to try and make some space and just annoy Zeta. But really they needed a tank counter or a brawler that could deal a lot of damage, because Finks and Stu don't really provide that. They're just there for kind of control and maintaining the zone when they're on it. And well, you'll see what happens. Lumi is holding down these 2 choke points. Kenji is non-stop dashing and healing. Mina is being impossible to hit. The setup couldn't be any more perfect for Zeta. And for Relum, there was nothing they could do but feed themselves into the slaughterhouse of Zeta. With no brawler with high enough health to try and pressure Zeta off the zone, or brawler that had high enough damage output to get a takedown, This was a really hard match to watch for Relum, and I was struggling to find hope for them, especially after what Zeta did to them.
Jamie and Zeta division, they outlast the only realm in this series. Get to the last set, and the cloud pits. Are you kidding? The trash talk is for real, and they've already taken their hands off their devices. An utter capitulation for North America.
In that hot zone game, they amassed 11% across 2 games. 200% was available for grabs, and they only collected 11%. That is an incredible stat and scoreline by Zeta. And I don't want to spend too much time here because I think the match as a whole was reasonably balanced. Both teams had good drafts, good mechanics, chemistry and game sense, but only at moments, because they also had blunders in games, even errors in drafting. This was by no means domination by Zeta or a terrible performance by Relum. It just felt that Zeta woke up after a series of poor scrims leading up to Brawl Cup, and Relum just struggled to outdraft Zeta. Although what I will say, Relum didn't even get a set win when Zeta won a game mode, and I don't know what that says about Relum, but I feel like they should have got 1 or 2. Not even just out of luck. They did deserve it, but it does say something about Relum. For both of these teams, I still consider them on the same level. There is potential that one of these teams win the Brawl Cup, but if they are, then they need to take the performance from one of their better sets to every single match. Relum are going to face hmble, and Zeta will face bounty hunters this Sunday. And with the days break in between, I hope they're rested first of all, but are also building their strategies and approach to drafts. I really hope both of these teams head into Sunday really strong, and I'm certainly not writing off either of them, and you shouldn't be either. Incredible game to watch, and I wish Zeta and Relum the best of luck. Thank you so much for watching. I've still got another video to make. Hopefully I'll get this one out in time. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon, Sproutlings. Bye.